For most people, an astrological consultation is quite a major event, not something they do very often. There are some people that come every year and so on, but most people perhaps only do it once or twice in a lifetime. It's a big deal, and it's not always the case, but very, very often the case that the time when they come is crucial. It's a crux point. It's a turning point in their life. They know it is, they can feel it is on some intuitive level, but they don't know why and they don't know exactly what. And so I would say 80%, 90% even of my readings are based on answering that point. Is this a turning point in my life? Why? Explain it, please, James. All right. And very often, just before they arrive, I look at the chart and I ask myself, well, why now? Why are they coming to me now? And it's pretty much always because of an outer planet transit. Most clients come when something big is going on. A Pluto transit, Neptune transit, Uranus transit, sometimes Chiron, to one of the major points as well. So Pluto might be crossing their sun sign, or Neptune might be squaring their moon, Uranus might be crossing over the descendant, something like that. So sun, moon, one of the four angles, typically. It could be the node, it could be Venus in some cases, it could be other things, of course. But what you need to do first and foremost is identify that. So when I look at a chart, I see what the sun is and what the moon is and what are their aspects. Very, very often, one of those planets has an aspect to an outer planet. Moon square Pluto, sun opposition Uranus, for example. And also, very often, it is that which is a part of the reading, which may well be transited by an outer planet. So you've got those two things going on. You've got the transit at birth, in other words, their natal chart to look at, considering the outer planets, and the transit now, considering the outer planets. In other words, the outer planets are a big deal. They make a huge difference. And people that have them in their birth chart know about that always for the rest of their lives. And people who have them during a transit are really wanting to look at that now. I've repeated myself there just to underline the point. We're looking for outer planet transits in order to understand what is happening to them on the deeper levels in life. Things come and go all of the time when people study full moons and think, oh, I felt this for a day or two. It's irrelevant, actually, really. What is relevant is the transits that take maybe 2 years, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 years even, to come and go. The Pluto transits, the Neptune transits take that amount of time, even longer sometimes. Uranus a bit quicker. Its operation can be sudden, immediate. You do something, you're shocked, and then you've got a different life. That's more like Uranus. Chiron, I found a bit more subtle. You need to look back, I think, and see what the Chiron transit was about retrospectively, whereas the others, it's rather clearer, I think, for people to notice. That's my personal experience. So when we're looking at this scenario where the client has an outer planet transit going on, then the key word is watershed. They are experiencing a watershed in life. Before this event, life was like that. After the event, it's very different indeed on some profound level. So we look to see what that is. And typically, an outer transit brings our attention, and that's its purpose, to the fact that we're just not getting something right in life. And you can see what that might be. A Pluto transit is going to be very profound indeed. You're just not doing the right thing at all. You're pointing totally in the wrong direction. you're going to die if you go in that direction. That's what Pluto's saying. It's not a kindly energy at all. It's stark truth. You need to hear this or you will die. That may not always be true, but very often it is, and they don't, of course, die immediately, but they contract something of which they later die, you know, the Pluto transits, if they don't do the right thing. So bear in mind that what you're telling them might be that which saves their lives, because they need to focus on what's wrong and change it. Now it's Pluto. It's ruthless. Neptune's not exactly the same, but it's similarly serious in a way. It's like the sense you have of reality just doesn't check out. You're deluded. That's what Neptune's telling us, and to some significant extent we all are. But the delusion that we're suffering needs to change now. It's unsustainable now. And Neptune says, right, I'll take everything away from you so that you get this message. You need to replace your glamour, your illusion, your way of being or perceiving life. That's what Neptune's doing, and so on. The point I'm getting to is that big things are happening with these transits, and our job is to change the perception of the client from, oh, I'll just correct a little bit and I'll carry on with my life, which is what they hope or think or feel they would like to do, and change that to, actually, my life as I know it is finished. It's gone. The bits that I was counting on to continue indefinitely, they've finished. I can't get them back. You have to get that attitude in the mind of the client, especially with the Pluto transit. Neptune transit is very similar. Uranus, not quite the same thing, but there is a new opportunity with Uranus that you can grasp so that your life becomes all the more exciting after it. Chiron, you just shift your ideas about the nature of reality itself. Everything changes on an outer planet transit. So that's the message that we're trying to deliver as astrologers. It's a big deal. You can't just come up to a stranger in a pub and say, I'm sorry that your life is just finished as you know it. You're going to have to invent a new one. You can't do that. And here's a client coming to you, so you can do it, but it's still a person, and they don't want to hear that their life is finished the way they know it. They don't want to hear that at all. You have to get them to turn things around so that the events of their lives, the scenarios, the feelings and thoughts that they're having, that's finished. It's finished. It's dead. It's gone. You know, it does not exist anymore. What you're going through now is an interregnum period, a temporary change period where the past is not and the future is not yet created. And you're in the middle of that, and it's a very, very difficult time. But it passes, and you can tell them when it passes. The transit has a certain duration, and you know when it finishes. That's the message you're giving them, and it needs to be delivered with great authenticity. You have to know that this is a serious thing for them, and insist when they try and change the subject and make it soft and light. The actual planets are not going to give you a soft, light time. Typically, there are some exceptions, you know, but it's usually very difficult for people, unless and until they understand what I've just been saying, that they can't cling on to a past that doesn't exist anymore. It was always false. What they're losing is the delusion that it was sustainable. And Pluto will deliver that message very clearly. So will Neptune, so will Uranus. It doesn't work what you've been doing. You have to change. This is not negotiable. What you change into, well, you have to work that out. You have to decide. You have to come up with a sustainable option for how to live. That's what we're trying to do with these interpretations of the outer planet transits. And one of the most difficult aspects of this is to disabuse your client of self-pity. A lot of people blame others and life and God and all manner of things apart from I. Most people will not take responsibility for what happens. Well, everything that happens to you is your responsibility. You create it all. Your client doesn't understand that. Your client needs to understand that. Everything in your life is simply a mirror reflection of what's going on within yourself. There are no coincidences. There are no agencies against you. That's nonsense. You are simply projecting onto the screen, this movie screen of life, that which you have created. Now, you've not created that with your conscious mind. A lot of that is subconscious, unconscious, superconscious processes that you've not claimed. But it's still you. And that gives you the power to change it. Taking responsibility for all that happens to you is the first step towards changing it the way you want it to be. That's the message that you want to deliver to your client. That's magic.